Now the big question, would you compare a rolling work of art with a BMW or an Audi? Because the thing about BMW and Audi is, whilst they have the status, whilst they have decades of identity, they're not exactly rolling work of arts. These are cars you see almost every day from the premium segment, whereas rolling work of arts tend to be rare cars that have a strong emphasis on style, but in terms of desirability, it is always of selective taste. It's like comparing a Pagani with a Lamborghini. A Lamborghini is something everybody talks about, but a Pagani, I don't really hear many people talking about it. And this is the same case for the DS4 right next to me. Which brings me down to another question. Is this the Pagani of the C segment? The Pagani against the BMW and the Audi? As part of the 2025 facelift, they have made the front more serious. It shares the same trait as the upcoming DS8. This is awesome. But wait, let's not celebrate too early because there's a little problem. Instead of putting the DS badge simply, they decided to write DS Automobiles here in letters. I think there's a lot of letters here. They made the rear a bit too busy now, guys. This car is only 41,000 euros, and yet sitting inside, I feel like I'm sitting in a car of 60,000 euros. This is awesome. It certainly does look more pricey than the Volkswagen Golf or even the BMW 1 Series. Now you can check the links in the description for my car review of the BMW 1 Series, the Volkswagen Golf, and even the Audi A3, and for that matter, all the competitors of the DS4, potential competitors in the C segment. And also you can check the link in the description for my other YouTube videos of my reviews of other DS automobile cars. And now let's get on with the review of this DS4. Now, before I show you all the exterior of this DS4, I want to talk to you all a little bit about the DS brand. The DS brand was born from the Citroen brand. In fact, it's a direct reference to the legendary Citroen DS. Now, the philosophy is quite simple. It's supposed to be a luxury, well, it was actually supposed to be a luxury version of Citroen cars, but then they merged into a brand of their own. And since then, it's been mostly a mishmash between Peugeot and Citroen cars. At least that was the case before Stellantis happened. And now ever since Stellantis happened, I am not going to be surprised if it's a mishmash between Citroen, Peugeot, Alfa Romeo, and well, I'm not surprised if Maserati and Jeep are also in the equation, and to an extreme extent if there's even some Dodge influence. And it is very evident with the way they approached the facelift for the DS4. So I'm going to start with the front. The front, first of all, looks very nice. It's modernized. In terms of style, they did a brilliant job. Already I see you don't get a 360-degree parking camera, but it's no biggie, everyone. It's still amazing the way they've designed it. But then on the other side of the scale, if we're looking at identity, it makes absolutely zero references to the ancient Citroen DS, or there's no real DS identity anymore, apart from the headlights, which are still sleek and still angry looking. I like that, actually, I really do. But then to give it sharp edges at the front, I think the sharp edges will go against the DS identity, because the real DSs had this round edge design, which I really find really nice. But hold on a second, everyone, there's a saving grace. You still get a little badge over here, which is written Palace. I think that's supposed to be the trim level of this particular DS4. And you get the ridge right here on the middle, just like what we had on the original Citroen DS. Now, approaching the side was where I had a little bit of confusion, because the wheels are very big, which gives this DS4 a crossover SUV vibe. But then if we look at the design, it looks very evolutionary to the original DS4, which was actually based on a Citroen C4. Now, those were great cars, but they didn't last very long. They were not very popular on the roads after a while. They disappeared quicker than any Volkswagen Golf. I don't know why, but all I can tell you is they were quite stylish and they were very hard for me to forget. So this DS4 is quite stylish, just like its predecessor, but just evolved with the sharp edges. Although from certain angles, I don't know if it's just me, but looking at it from this angle, it looks a little bit like the previous generation's Opel Astra. What? Having DS Automobiles written in letters onto the boot door, I think it just made the boot door really busy. And that's the kind of thing you'd expect somebody who just bought a company vehicle, and usually you'd see their company name being written on the back, whether their company is a construction firm or an insurance firm. Now, when it comes to door sounds, we all know that the BMW 1 Series and the Audi A3, they destroy the DS4. But let's just take a look at what the DS4 has. Oh. It doesn't have the metallic sound like the BMW or Audi models do, but it certainly does have this pleasant, calming sound. It's a bit on the soft side, which can be appealing to those of you who liked soft clothes. I want to inform you all that this is not an EV. At this point, there's a bit of confusion because I was told that this is a plug-in hybrid, but when I look around, I couldn't see any plug-in point. To me, I think this is just a combustion engine C-segment car, but maybe the plug-in hybrid point is somewhere. I just can't happen to see it, guys. But it is 41,000 euros, which already screams value for money. Over to the interior of the DS4. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the interior definitely looks more expensive than the BMW 1 Series and the Audi A3 and even the Volkswagen Golf for that matter. Now, one thing that's actually going to be a relief for many of you and a saving grace perhaps will be the fact that you see many physical buttons still present. And in an age where you have EV cars and plug-in hybrids and hybrids, everybody has been obsessing with simplicity, whereas that's not the case for this DS4. Thank goodness they have physical buttons. But then at the same time, on the other side of the scale, you have to wonder, didn't they go a little bit too far with the artistic aspects of things? Because you see, there's certain things that are very non-conventional. For example, they put the air vent right onto the door. This kind of is a bit of a deja vu. It has me thinking of the Renault Espace and perhaps the Renault Avantime of the 2000s. They had everything onto the door. And the window buttons are just right up here in the diagonal position. Now, this is a design I'm not a fan of, but it is something of selective taste. However, another little problem is that the armrest on the door is very short, so I can't really lean my arm onto the door that much, guys. Otherwise, the leather wrapping is wonderful. I just like it. And then over here, the center area is beautiful. I really like the material they used. I really like the design. And this bit of leather over here is just for you to lay your wrist onto. It's not a swivel wheel of some sort, although it would have been nicer if it had some purpose, because I know the Mercedes S-Class in the 2000s and in the very early 2010s, it did have something here which would open up for dials. I think it was supposed to be a telephone number dial or something. Not sure. Now, later in the video, I'll show you all the infotainment system if I can, because this vehicle is in showroom. So maybe it's in showroom mode. I won't be able to show you much when it comes to the infotainment system. But what I can definitely show you all is the wonderful steering wheel, which I'm already a fan of. You even have driving palettes. That's wonderful. The design is very good. The sharp edges on the steering wheel look nice, but they look very Opel-ish to me. Okay, right. Just my personal thought. But otherwise, the way this area is designed, it brings me again a bit of deja vu. I feel like I just saw this on the DS5 as well, the ancient generation DS5, something in the early 2010s. I'm convinced I saw this somewhere, or maybe some Citroen model from the 2010s. That looks it's very interesting how they brought it back. I don't see the cup holders anywhere, but I think it's under this cover right here. The cup holders are down there. But there's a little problem. To access any drink that you put in there, you get this bit of the plastic that gets in the way. And so every time you get your drink or something, your wrist may make contact with the plastic over here. And that is going to be a bit annoying, but then it's something you can deal with in long terms. Otherwise, putting the cup holders all the way there means the drinks aren't in the way and I can lay my arm here relaxed. But then there's also another thing. The driving mode selection is just right here as if it were an afterthought. Oh, well, where else were they supposed to put it? Right. And then the parking brake is just right underneath there. It's hidden. I couldn't notice it at first. I only noticed it now. And you get a start-stop button just right there. Now, to be fair, putting the start-stop button there is quite a standard practice these days, because I know Volkswagen Group, they like to put their start-stop button at this area. At least I know that's the case for Audi and some of the Volkswagen Group cars, like the Volkswagen Passat, if I'm not mistaken. And Then when it comes to storage space, the storage space looks very much like what I saw in certain Peugeot cars. So it's narrow, but it is deep. That's good. The door bin. The door bin is okay. For its segment, it's okay. Now, don't expect the same level of practicality as what you'd see in the Volkswagen Group car. And I'm not exactly sure if this is a panoramic sunroof or just a panoramic roof, but whatever this is, it's very, very, very pleasant. And speaking of the styling, how can I forget about the seat? I really like it how they approached the seat. So it's a combination between tissue and leather on the side. They've gone really stylish about this. It's quite interesting. Over to the rear seat of the DS4. So already I see that the entrance is different to my experience with the Volkswagen Group cars. I know Volkswagen Group cars tend to have one of the easiest rear seat entrance, especially when it comes to the Golf and the Audi A3. Let's have a seat. So the driver's seating position does intrude in the space a little bit, but then that can be sorted out with ease. However, this particular driver, myself, decided to take up a lot of the rear seat space. However, saving grace is you get an armrest over here, and that's very nice. It's even adjustable if I'm not mistaken. And when it comes to practicality, you have a net for the backseat pocket and door bin over there, which is a bit below average in terms of size. So here's my conclusion of the DS4. Is this the Pagani of the C segment? Is this the Pagani that will destroy the BMW 1 Series and the Audi A3? Well, I have to say, I have mixed feelings about this, everyone. First of all, it is perhaps the Pagani of the segment because I don't really know any other C-segment car that is just as stylish as this beast right here for only 41,000 euros. I'm aware that we have the Volkswagen Golf R, which is the Lamborghini of the C-segment, which is quite nice actually, but let's face it, it's not really the style that does the talking. It's the performance of the Volkswagen Golf R that does the talking. Whereas here, we're looking at style. We're looking at a rolling work of art, something unique. But then at the same time, if you are looking for power, the DS Automobiles was not really the brand you look at when it comes to engine power and performance, although they do have the trim level for it. This has to be one of the best value for money C-segment cars I've ever seen, and so therefore it isn't exactly the Pagani of the C-segment because it is still something maybe rare in terms of design, but it is still something more affordable than the BMW 1 Series and the Audi A3. As I say, the Pagani of the C-segment, I think, right? Do you all agree this is the Pagani of the C-segment? Let me know in the comments section. And check the link in the description for my other YouTube videos where I review the competitors of this DS4 and of course, other DS Automobiles cars. I will see you all next time.